It is a city down in Mexico called Puerto Peñata. Peñata. Ha! This is Hard Parking, brought to you by Right Honda and Right Toyota out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm your host, Jhae Pfenning, recording from my home studio here in Gilbert, Arizona. Just getting over, I think, maybe COVID. I've had the fever off and on the last couple of days. I haven't been able to sleep. My coffee tastes like shit this morning. I thought it was a cup. Kind of tastes soapy. So I dumped it out, rinsed it. The next cup tastes like shit. Drank it anyway because it's coffee. Just got back from spending a weekend down in Rocky Point. So if you're from Arizona, that probably means more to you than if you're from somewhere else, but it is a popular resort area in a small town called Puerto Peñasco. Penasco, Rocky Point. So we're going to talk about that trip. I know some of you love my trip recaps. Some of you are probably going to stop listening at this point and drop off. But we went down there with the family. This was our first time going. So there were some people that went with us, like my brother-in-law and his family. They've gone on there multiple times. We have another friend that's, I think this is like their fifth or sixth time. But for the core, the nest, myself, the people that live in this house, my kids, their significant others, the grandkids, this was our first time. And we've been kind of hesitant to go because almost anybody here in Arizona that has gone or has heard of somebody going has had an issue with like the local police getting pulled over, shaken down, and you have to carry cash, but you can't carry it together. You have to have like half the money in your shoe, and essentially you have to pay the cops off. My daughter drove our Churro. So we have a Churro. I've talked about that before, a little Volkswagen Touareg. Now she's used to driving a big Durango SRT, exhaust, loud. But the problem with her car is it's got blacked out tint. The windshield is tinted. And she said she has a friend that either lives down there or used to work down there, and they will ticket you for your tint, and it's like $80 a day. I don't know how applicable that is. And when you really think about it, I don't know how enforceable that is, especially when you're leaving the country in a few days. But if you live down there, I can see that being a problem. But better safe than sorry. And so they packed her, Mario, and the two girls, packed the Volkswagen Touareg. You couldn't even see out the back. And then, of course, our grandson Zeke rode with us, my mother-in-law, and my wife in our car. We were packed. And then my son and his girlfriend and their daughter and a little Ford Fusion. And so we were going down there, and they had 4 cars, and we were driving, and you've heard, you go through these towns, it's kilometers an hour, they will pull you over for 1 or 2 over, especially with out-of-country plates. There's a lot of Arizona plates down there. This is like the local, this is the place to go that's regional. It's like an hour on the other side of the border, hour and a half on the other side of the border. And so when you're going through, you switch your gauge over to kilometers an hour, and you're creeping. Now, if you haven't been to anywhere in Mexico before, and some of you have been to like Cancun, Cabo, Rocky Point, a few other places, it's not uncommon. Even Puerto Vallarta, we saw this when we went down there with Alex and Jen. It's not uncommon to see the federales, which is not the same as the local police, but you'll see the federales riding around in a pickup truck, all like National Guarded. It's basically the Mexican National Guard. And there's always one standing up on the back with a freaking cannon. I don't know if it's a 50 cal, but it's a mounted machine gun, and that thing looks vicious. And the only other time I've seen one that I remember is when we were at the airport in Puerto Vallarta. I don't remember if we saw one when we were in Cabo, maybe. But those are things when you see them coming from America, you're like, Jesus. One thing you don't see a lot of are regular municipal police. They stay in the city. So I'll tell you a little bit more about this. The road trip itself was interesting. I'll tell you more about that and some of the vacation and what we did, what we ate, what we didn't do, things to look out for if you decide to go down there with your family. All that and more coming up after this word from Arcus Foundry SparkForge. If you run a business and you're tired of juggling tools, chasing logins, and constantly feeling like the tech side of things is heavier than it should be, this might hit close to home. That tech fatigue usually shows up as an outdated website, reviews slipping through the cracks, missed calls when you're busy, or social media that's always on the back burner. Most business owners know something's off, but fixing it feels like a bigger project than they have time for. SparkForge exists to take that weight off. It handles the tech behind the scenes, helps clean up how your business shows up online, makes sure calls and messages don't get mixed, keeps reviews from slipping through the cracks, and wrangles social marketing so you don't disappear for weeks. If you're curious, there's a short discovery session, and it comes with 90 days free to actually see if it makes things easier. No pitch, no pressure, just a real conversation about what's working, what's broken, and what you can simplify. So head over to getsparkforge.ai/hardparking to get started. Before I finish talking about this trip, one thing I do want to address is I recently uploaded a video from 12 weeks ago of my good friend Wes Tankersley and I talking on the podcast. And we got to a point where he was talking about some of the stuff going on in Idaho. I think you guys have seen this. And I was kind of, they say if you have to think about it, don't do it. And I was thinking about, should I post this? But we really didn't say anything, but we did give our opinions. And one thing I want to say on that video, and I've said this before on the podcast, and I feel like I have to reset this every once in a while. As people in this country, we're allowed to give our opinions on everything. I'm very careful with the opinions that I give. I leave the door open for conversation. I invite people, hey, if you would like to come sit down in front of me and have a adult conversation about anything, UFOs, flock cameras, like I've made my position pretty clear on flock cameras, and all of a sudden that's just become the rage. And all I say is we need to start asking ourselves why something that's been around since 2017 is all of a sudden all in the news. What are we being, what is our attention being taken from? That's what you should be asking yourself. I believe in some of the outrage, but I also think that people are way misinformed and fear-mongered, but I'm willing to have that discussion. I even had a friend post on their page, if you feel this way on their page, come talk to me and let's have a quick chat. And here's why. He does network security, which I admire. I'm like, okay, here's a guy who knows what he's talking about, not just some rando clicking on links. And he gave a couple other reasons. So my response was, hey, I would love for you to come on the podcast via Zoom because he's in another state, and let's just have a conversation. Like, I just want a conversation. I just want to hear that side. And a lot of that stuff I already know. I've been doing this for a long time. I could tell you everything that I know, and I am always going to err on the side of safety versus over surveillance. And I get it. I understand the concern. But I say all that to say that I am steadfast in my opinions, but I'm open to conversation and I'm open to change them, whether it's borderline political, whether it's social issues. One thing that we talked about was there's a sickness going on where if you don't feel the same way as somebody else, all of a sudden they're wrong and you're right, or they're wrong about everything. This isn't a Scantron. Like life is not a Scantron. You guys remember Scantrons? Am I dating myself with that? Scantron, we have to fill in A, B, C, or D. Well, in this case, life isn't an A-B Scantron. And even if it was, if there's 50 questions, you have 50 opportunities to answer differently. And you have your passing score. So if you need a 75 percentile to pass to whatever the case, so if you enter at least 75% of your answers are B, then you get put in this category. If at least 75% of your answers are A, you get put in this category. Maybe it's 51% versus 49%. What I'm saying is you have all those opportunities to answer differently, and that ultimately determines which bucket you fall into. So there's going to be times you answer A, there's going to be times you answer B. It might be A, B, 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 A, B, A, B, A, B, A. But it's never, and it should never be all A, and it should never be all B. And think about that with life, and that's decisions, that's opinions on things. Those are discussion points. Not everything is black and white. Things are open for discussion. This podcast affords me and my guests the opportunities to answer A and B and have those discussions. And number two pencil and number two pencils, which means nothing is an ink or permanent marker. Things can be erased. Things can be updated in light of new information. So when we say something like, I think the big issue was restrooms. If the world went to unisex restrooms, no problem. I've been to a lot of places that had unisex restrooms. Not a problem. One in, one out. They're for everybody, but not unisex shared restrooms. That's a different concept. But if you don't want unisex shared restrooms, if you only want a male restroom and a female restroom, then that's your answer. That's your A, or unisex is your B. That doesn't make you wrong. That's just your preference. And so if you're going to discount somebody because they want gender-specific restrooms versus a restroom for everybody, like, I don't care. You can have a male, female. There's a family changing room. I don't see anybody boycotting family changing rooms. Family room only. Take your family in there. But it's weird and it's ridiculous that we have that. And so you're going to get that with this podcast. I go wherever my guests want to go. We stop. We peel it back. We peel back the layers. We peel back the onions. We peel back the bananas. We look at all the different layers of things. And if there's anything we say that you vehemently disagree with, come on the show. Talk about it. We're not going to argue. I have plenty of friends with different opinions. Some things I'm going to change my mind on. Some things I'm not. But it's also not. So let's talk about the alphabet, right? We'll talk about the alphabet community, the LGBTQ plus to infinity. I have friends. I have extended family in the alphabet community. Is it derogatory for me to call it alphabet community? If it is, I apologize. I don't mean it by that. If I don't agree with some policy push or something, if I don't agree with the flag being over here versus over there, that doesn't mean I don't support the community. Again, Scantron AB. We're in Seattle, as you know, and we were staying up. God, I forget the town already. Nice, cute little town. Crosswalk, it's the entire alphabet flag, I'm guessing, because I've seen it in Puerto Vallarta. I notice it. I don't care. Who cares? Okay, it's better than just a boring crosswalk. Like, that doesn't trigger me. Some people it triggers. And if that bothers you, why? It's there because the town allowed it to be there. It shouldn't bother you. But it also shouldn't bother you if I decide I don't like it. I don't care. I like the community, but it's like transgender. I've worked with transgender people. Normal, fun people. They weren't the crazy people that you hear about. Biological male doesn't belong in a female locker room. I'm not moving off that stance. And so, you can unfollow me if you want. You can unfriend me. I haven't had anyone unfollow or unfriend me that's worth anything that I know of. But if that's what you want to do, then so be it. If you want more car talk, go to a different podcast. If you want more real talk, come back to Hard Parking. And go through the catalog. Go to hardparking.com, click on episodes, search guests. Unfortunately, you can't search topics, I don't think. Search guests. Almost no two episodes are going to be alike because it's an open conversation. It's a fun conversation, and it's a comfortable conversation if you're willing to have the conversation. All right, we're going to continue on. God, it's been about 2 hours since I recorded that first opening, had dinner, and all the like. I had to jot down some notes to kind of recap my trip. I know I talked about kind of going to the border and having to drive the right speed. From my house here in Gilbert, it's about a 4-hour drive. It felt like it was more 4.5. But the thing is, when you have 4 vehicles, there's another vehicle that eventually joined us there, but they didn't drive down with us, nor did they come back with us. But there's always somebody who needs to use the restroom. Maybe somebody needs gas because you have all the adults. You have a 7-year-old. You have 3 children under the age of 3, basically. There's a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So one of the big things that is of concern, why we've been apprehensive to go down there, is huge cartel stuff. And you try not to just suck into the media. I mean, one of the trepidations that I can say that my wife kind of had was with her mom because, you know, she watches all the news. And the fear is we need to get her mother a passport. I guess her other one expired. We had a renewal in the mail. It took forever to arrive. I was tracking and checking every day because I get a notification from USPS of incoming mail. But we also ordered her a new birth certificate, and that never got here. It's still not here. But she had her own, and she also had an Arizona enhanced ID, which we hear when you're going from here to Mexico via land, especially being a bordering state. A lot of times that works because if you're a U.S. citizen, they can't detain you at the border. They can slow you down coming into the United States until as long as it takes to verify you are who you are and that you're a permanent resident here or a U.S. citizen, but they can't just keep you down there. Another fear was that maybe ICE was going to pull us over because my wife thought maybe they would take her mom because she's Puerto Rican, which we all know that that's American. But the thought was, well, maybe ICE, they don't know. They do it all the time on TV. I'm like, trust me, those border workers know. They know. This is what they do all day on both sides of the border. So, you know, going into Mexico, they just ask you where you're going or they just check your car. Like, this is what happens to me at every checkpoint security. You have to pull into a bay. They kind of look at you, roll your window down. They kind of look around the car. Okay, go. I don't even remember the Mexican authorities, which is the Mexican National Guard. I don't even remember the authorities asking us really any questions. I think they may have asked my mother-in-law a question in the back seat because they had her roll her window down. And I think we had one of our cars, didn't get pulled over, but they kind of open it up and look around. But we collected ourselves on the other side of the border. So now we're in our first city, a bordering city. I think the speed limit was like 40 kilometers an hour. So at that point, if you can do this on your vehicle, you're going to want to switch the units over from miles per hour to kilometers per hour. Very critical. And so we were driving well spaced, but what happened is when we got on the other side of the city, from that point, it was just basically a straight shot from there to where we're going in Puerto Peñasco, aka Rocky Point. And there's a bunch of little towns in between. So my brother-in-law, Wilson, you know, he's the lead car in this. He's been there, 10 times. He takes off, and then my daughter and my future son-in-law, they take off, and we're third, and then my son's way behind us. And, of course, my wife's like, don't go too fast. You're going to lose Salo. I'm like, babe, he can keep up. Like, go with the flow of traffic. But he claimed his car is slow. It's a Ford Fusion. It's not fast, but it's not slow. But when we looked at how fast we were going, we were probably going 45 miles an hour. And I think he was we've heard so many stories of people getting messed with by the police. He was like, I'm not trying to get pulled over. Meanwhile, I can see traffic building up behind him, and we can see the space in front of us getting bigger. But then my brother-in-law doesn't want to go too far. And you know what? When you're in another country, when you're anywhere, when you're out in the open highway, you never want to be the first car in a group, if possible. Like when we go on our cruises, I'm usually the first car with the NSX, but I have Waze on, I have all these other stuff on, and I know just about everywhere I'm going. And we got radios, and so I'm looking at my son as he's getting smaller in the rear view, in the side mirror, and everybody else is getting smaller in front of us, and then people are starting to go around him. And we're going through these little towns. So let me back up. One of the first things my grandson said when we crossed the border and we were kind of leaving that small town, and he put his iPad down or his Nintendo Switch, and he looked around. He said, God, this place is trash. There's dirt, trash. There's garbage everywhere I look. And it's funny to hear that from him because he just doesn't really notice that stuff. But he's right. Everywhere you looked, it was just garbage. You know what it reminded me of? For those of you in this part of the United States, it reminded me of when you first drive into California from Arizona, sometimes off the 10, especially off the 8, which is on the southern side. There's a lot of trash on the road. California trash on their highways isn't nearly as bad. Like this looked like you were driving through a dump. Almost every building looked like a bomb went off. Hardly anybody had windows, doors. You could see all the way through these buildings. Most of the trip to Rocky Point was like that. There's just these abandoned buildings. And it reminded me of when I was driving through 29 Palms We talked about 29 Palms when Bryce Chaidez was on the podcast because he trained out there, spent some time out there. But it looked like it was a testing site, and it was kind of eerie. It's kind of scary. But we stayed on the main highway, which is Highway 85, which it's here on the other side of Buc-ee's, actually, which is kind of funny, through Goodyear. As we get closer, we all kind of group up, and we finally see a police car, and it's got somebody pulled over. This is pretty much the last, getting off the highway, the last main road. So we took a right off that main road, and we're following each other, and next thing you know, you're kind of pulling into this resort, and it's crazy because there's nothing around there. I have some photos. I'll share some photos as I talk. If you're watching this, it's almost as if you're on Mars, like you're looking at pictures of Mars. So we pull in, and as soon as we park at the front, we check into the guard gate. We pull our cars up to the front, and as soon as you open the door, it hits you. It's this immense humidity, and I hadn't felt that kind of humidity. And we've traveled. I travel. We go to Hawaii. We go to different parts of Mexico. We've been to Miami. We travel a lot. I haven't felt that type of humidity since, I want to say it's 2008 or 2009 in Miami, when it was a hot summer day. We went to Miami Seaquarium. But for those of you who have ever played sports like pickup basketball, when you get out and your hands are like super sticky, you can feel it. You can feel it. And I'm like, oh my God. And so it took me back to when I was in high school playing basketball, because sometimes I'd go outside and it'd be humid. I'd say, this is great. The basketball can stick to my giant hands a lot better when it's humid than when it's dry. Funny callback on a memory, but that's the first thing I thought of. So we went inside, and as soon as you step inside to the air conditioning, it kills the humidity, which is great. But the resort, we stayed at Las Palomas Beach and Golf Resort. It took us about an hour, it felt like, to check in, which is really weird, to get all our wristbands and get both of our rooms taken care of. So half of our party was staying in one room, half of our party was staying in another room up on the 8th floor. As soon as we walk into our room, it's hot. We thought the air conditioners were broken, but what it was is the sliding glass door was broken. The glass wasn't broken, but somehow the glass was off the frame at the bottom. I don't know how this happened, with the weather strip kind of hanging there too. I have a video of that. If I can remember when I'm editing, I'll upload that so you can see it. And we decide, don't empty everything out right now because we might have to transfer rooms. So my wife starts calling to get some maintenance up there, and we're taking stuff over to our other room, which is like 7 doors down, which is where the rest of the family was staying. Their place is nice and cool, which was great. At some point in taking stuff back and forth, my mother-in-law misplaces her bag of like medicine. We still, to this day, we don't know what happened to it. But that was quite the issue. Understandably so, it's important. But for those of you who know me well enough to read between the lines, it made for a rough start to the trip. People start arguing in Spanish. But we finally got the room fixed. The room's cooled down, thank God. And we got settled in. So, that night we all went out to eat. Hey, what do you guys want to go eat? And we go to some place, and everything closed. It felt like it closed down early. So we had yet to go into town, which is like a mile and a half up the road. So we came right off the highway, around the back into the resort. So we didn't even have to go through the town of Puerto Peñasco. So we ended up picking a place. I picked a place. I wasn't trying to. I felt like I was being rushed. Because here's the deal. When you're traveling and you have a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, two borderline teenagers, and one just turned 13 and one's 11, then you have your own kids, and then you have everybody else, where are we going to eat? And so, God, that wasn't even the first night. That was the second night. I don't remember what we ate the first night. I guess it doesn't even matter. But anyway, I'll get back to that story in a little bit. So we get settled in, and everything's good. It's nice, a great, beautiful view over the balcony. I mean, it was a stunning view. We're looking down. The ocean is down on our right. You can hear the waves, crashing through. So you don't need to turn on the sound machine to hear the waves crashing, because you can just hear them outside. You look down and all the pools are lit, and it's just a really cool thing. Next day we get up and Zeke doesn't have his goggles. And so my future son-in-law, Mario, and I'm like, hey, I want to go for a walk because I don't want to sit at the resort all day. People are less adventurous when you have kids, and especially when the place is known for snatching. Like there's a lot of people trafficking, and apparently kids get snatched left and right. I believe it. I don't know how often it really happens, but it only has to happen like once or twice to an American, and it becomes all the time. I get it. Better safe than sorry. I say all that to say that we didn't spend hardly any time in the town. We did go to the market once on Saturday, and I'll tell you about that in a second. So the kid needs goggles, his swimming goggles, because he's got a pair here, he's got a pair at home, he's probably got 2 pair here. And so it's like, all right, well, I need a toothbrush because I left my toothbrush. So I call my friends who are going to meet us there, and they bring a toothbrush. I'm like, all right, I got that taken care of. I'll see you guys in a few hours. They're driving down from here. They've been there 5 or 6 times, Anna and Jeff and their kids. And so we decided to still go for a walk, just for a walk. Like, hey, let's go up to the beach. Yeah, I'm down. So we're walking, and it's like my daughter's, oh my God, you guys are going to walk down the beach. It's like a mile. You guys are dumb. It's too hot for that. It's like, whatever. So we're walking up the beach, and we're like a half mile into it, and I'm thinking, God damn, my daughter was right, man. This is fucking hot. This sucks. But I have one of those long sleeve SPF 50 like boater shirts on, branded with hard parking, of course. And so we get to the town, and the breeze that we had at the ocean just stops. Now it's not any good. But as we're walking through the town, we're going to one place that I found on the map, and there's no way in hell I would have done this on my own. I don't speak Spanish. I may have a translator app, but I don't speak Spanish. And it's different when you're studying like Duolingo. But unless you're dropped into a country and around the people and have to learn it like that, you can study all day. You're gonna speak it slower than anybody. You're not going to know the dialect. You're not going to know the little things. You're not going to know if they're talking about you. So anyway, I was happy I had Mario with me. I mean, he's Mexican. He's American Mexican. He's born here, but he's Mexican, and he's all tatted up. You know, he's a tattoo artist. And as we're walking, the road turns into like a dirt road because a lot of the roads there are dirt in this town. It looks like a scene from something in the Middle East where some shit's going to go down, some shootouts and stuff. Then we have a Federale truck go by us, like right by us. Like we're walking up the road and they go like right by us. And the guy in the back on the mounted gun kind of looks at Mario and he goes, kind of gives him a what's up. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I'm with this guy. Stop to get something to drink. Of course, they don't have any goggles there. And fortunately, Mario's smart enough to say, well, I'm going to get some Pedialyte. You should get some like this. I go, okay, let's get some Pedialyte or some sort of an energy drink that replenish you versus getting water. I was just thinking water, bottled water. That saved our life. Electrolytes, thank you. That's what I was thinking of. And so from there, open up a map. I go, look, on my phone, obviously. I go, well, there's a department store, another quarter of a mile up the street. If we go up 2 blocks and down 6 blocks, it looks like there's a railroad track. Can't tell from the map if there is a fence or wall. So we won't know until we get there. Are you down? He's like, yeah, sure, I'm down. I'm like, well, he's down for anything. Like Mario, he's down for anything. That's kind of the joke. Like, hey man, you want to go blow up some spaceships? Yeah, I'm down. Like, all right. So Mario's just down. So we're walking and we're like 2 or 3 blocks further and the road's just dirt and it's abandoned and there's trash everywhere. I'm telling you, it may have been in the middle of the daytime, but this is no place for any type of tourist. It is not. This is truly what they say when you go to a resort, you stay your ass on the resort. Stay on the resort. They're building all sorts of resorts there, and there's all these like Can-Am and side-by-side rentals, people flying by on 4-wheelers in the dirt. You can rent a freaking horse like right there. But you see the Federales driving by. You hardly see any other cars. So we're walking, and I see about 3 blocks in front of us, go, isn't that a train track? Isn't that, I don't think I see. And he didn't see it. So now I'm thinking I'm seeing stuff. We walk a couple more blocks and you can see the train tracks. I'm like, all right, cool. So we should be able to go to the train tracks, cross the train tracks, get to the other side. Then it's like 4 blocks up this major street and we'll be at the department store. So we get to the train tracks and we smell something burning and we realize they have piles of trash that they've been burning, just trash. And you look up on the back of the train yard and there's just blankets and pillows and sleeping bags. And you can tell this is where people sleep. But I don't know where they're at. Cause middle of the day, maybe they're out begging or selling something. But there was nobody there, which is great. So we're kind of roaming around. And then we realize when we go to the other side, there's a train just parked there. And so in order to get to the other side, we have to climb over one of those carts. And some guy comes out and looks like he's a regular there. And he starts talking to Mario in Spanish. And they're like, like they're just talking kind of low. And that's another thing. It's like mumble Spanish. So even if you're using Duolingo or one of these other apps, you know, translator app, it's mumble Spanish. And that's what I mean. Like you could practice learning another language, but unless you're there using it, don't even do it. Whatever that exchange was, we saw another guy coming with his backpack and he just hopped over the thing over one of the train cars. And we looked at each other and go, oh, I guess that's what we're doing. So you climb up on like this little ladder, you go up at the top of the train car and you climb down on the other side. And then you go another block up and you're on the main street. Now this looks more like a city. It's paved. There are cars parked on the side. There's buildings, like businesses. Not a lot of stuff looked open, but it looked like a normal street. It's probably 4 lanes, 2 on each side. So it's a normal street with cars parked. And that part was fine. I still wouldn't want to be there by myself. We walk up to the department store and it's like a Best Buy. There's like a hobo outside who opens the door. I realize that he doesn't work for them. They're just opening the door for people. Hopefully they would get paid. As soon as we walk inside, they have huge metal detectors and a security guard. Tell them we're looking for swimming goggles. They say they don't have it. I'm like, shit. The website said you had it, but they don't have it. So at this point, we're almost 2 miles away from the resort, a mile and a half up the beach, right? And then another half mile off the beach, at least. Fortunately, 2 doors down, there's like a little shop. It's weird. It's like a beach shop that's not at the beach. You know, so you walk in, they have all these miscellaneous. They have some toys, some clothes. It's kind of dimly lit. It's not very big. And then they had like swimming masks and swimming goggles. So Mario bought a bandana, and I go, well, which kind of mask are we going to get? And we ended up getting them just the regular goggles, like a swimmer goggles, right? Not the one with the nose that you would use with a scuba mask or snorkel. At this point, we go, okay. So we start making our way back, and we're stopping underneath the shade every, I don't know, a few hundred yards because it's hot. We decided to stop at this restaurant and have a beer and take a selfie. And it was cool because we just got to talk, you know? I mean, I like Mario. He likes me a lot. He's like a son because he's that age. And I get to tell him about my life and growing up and stuff like that. And he's telling me about his life. This is what Mario said. Man, I'm so glad I was born in America. As we're walking through the streets. And this was like an hour earlier when we were walking through the dirt roads, walking by all the trash. Because he said his dad really wanted them to be born in Mexico. And he's so glad he was born in America. And so we're talking about our beginnings. And it was great. And I don't think anybody at the beach cared that we're gone for so long. But we had a couple beers and started our trek back. At first, it felt like we were going the wrong way. And then you had a couple more Federale trucks pull up. And then the guys are kind of hanging out. Like, again, they're all armored up. They're suited up. The National Guard, camouflage. It's kind of intimidating. And then we finally get back to the beach, and then we're walking. And from that point, we had actually gone past where we originally turned up from the beach. Probably another quarter mile, which kind of sucked. But from that point, the water had already regressed back probably 50 yards from where it was earlier, which is crazy to us. We finally get back to the place, finally get to where we have the chairs set up at the beach. Hey, Zeke, here's your goggles. I don't like them. Like, motherfucker, you going to wear these goddamn goggles. Do you think he wore the goggles? Of course not. Nana ended up buying him the kind he wanted the next day at the market. But that's my life. But that was really the only adventure that I went on when I was there. The next morning we get up and we go to the market as a family and all the different cars. You go and you pay $5 parking. So what's the market? It's like this couple blocks full of shops. And it's the type of shops where every third or fourth shop has the same shit as the shop 3 or 4 shops ago. You know what I mean? And you can kind of be like, hey, I want to buy that. How much is it? Well, what if I give you this instead? And then they can say yes or no. And so there's some finagling. They had some cool stuff. Nothing that I really wanted to pull the trigger on. Because you travel enough, you see this stuff everywhere. Except for there's some unique things, but what are you going to do with it? We ended up going to eat, and it was super hot. We wanted to take a picture in front of, like, a big family picture. We didn't take a family picture this time, so I kind of feel bad about it. But it's also one of those streets where every restaurant has a person outside trying to wave you in. Like, come eat here, come eat here. You know, anybody who's traveled anywhere has experienced that, whether it's traveled down to Florida, you know, like the Florida Keys, or anywhere that just is a touristy, super overgrown touristy place. You have these people out there trying to get you to come into their shops and to buy their food. Happy hour, or free shots of tequila, which, by the way, when we first parked, we walked past the place and they were offering free shots. No, thank you. I am not going to take a free shot at anything, especially in some other country that's known to be very hostile and scary. Like, no, thank you. In fact, most of this trip, I was super cautious. We were at the pool bar and people are handing out shots. Nope. People are pouring their own shots out of their own backpacks right next to the pool bar. Like, bro, what? So we go to eat, and we're at this place called Federico's. There's a Poncho's, a Federico's. It was right next to the market. So why do we go? We call it the market because you go there to buy. They have these big coolers full of like red snapper and different size prawns and shellfish. They didn't have crabs or lobsters or anything like that. But that's why they call it that. And it kind of stinks, right? Because they don't have like those air curtains. You know what an air curtain is? It's the thing that blows air down so hard that it prevents the insects from going in. And it also prevents the air from escaping. So if you have an air curtain blowing hard down over any opening, it could be 110 degrees outside, and that's not going to penetrate. And the cool air inside isn't going to leave. So anyway, so we're kind of at this market 2 doors down from the restaurant, and there's flies like landing on the red snapper, and it stinks. And yeah, it's that kind of market. We bought some shrimp though. But we're at Federico's, and the food was okay. Tourist trap. It was expensive. I forgot what I ordered, like the garlic shrimp. The shrimp was good, but it was little, and your bang for the buck, it sucked. Next time we go there, there's a place that all the locals and some people that we trust say that we should go to. But we didn't have time to go there this time. So long story short, the food, for the most part, that we tried, tourist trap, sucks, don't do it. So when Mario and I were walking the day before, we walked past a lot of bars, restaurants. Apparently there were some strip clubs we completely missed. We saw them the next day when we were driving to the market. It's like, hey, we were here yesterday. I remember we ate right there. We ate that spot. But they're probably all tourist traps. But they did have some cool places. There was like a whiskey bar there. It's like, oh shit, whiskey? What do they know about whiskey down there? I'd be willing to find out, but this wasn't the group to do it with. I can see how people can get in trouble if you're not going with a family or groups of people, because you hear all these stories of these Americans, and they're usually kids, right? They're teenagers. 4 18-year-olds are missing, or an 18, 19-year-old, a 22-year-old, and a 21-year-old went missing. Those are the ages where people just usually make the wrong decisions. Rarely would you get kidnapped. You think about this. If it's a cartel ran area, it is in their best interest to make it as safe as possible. But there are rogue groups and there are territory issues. My brother-in-law, he went there one time. He stayed about 30 minutes away. I remember seeing this a few years ago. Beautiful photos, beautiful house. It was immaculate. He said when he was going back over the border, they asked him where he stayed. He told them, and they were like, dude, you are like right in the thick of a cartel territory war. You are damn lucky nothing happened to you, because they were pulling people over and shaking them down. Research told me that As long as you stick to the highways, the main roads. I didn't look day versus night, but to me, it's obvious you want to be in the day. As long as you stick to the main roads in between the towns, you should be good as a tourist. If you start taking side roads, like, hey, this looks like if we cut over here and we cut up there and then we cut over here, we can beat this time by 5 minutes. Don't do that. Research told me those back roads are typically patrolled and controlled. So patrolled and controlled by cartel factions. And you just because it's cartel doesn't mean something's going to happen to you. But the chances are good that something could, more than you just staying on the main road. The weather there was crazy. It was nice and hot. Every night it was super windy. Our last night there, second to our last night there was a major storm. And yeah, it was our last night. There was Sunday. Yeah. Saturday night to Sunday morning. Okay. There was a major storm. And at this point I was done drinking. I was tired. I go, guys, I'm going to bed. I'm going back to my room and I'm going to bed. I woke up at 4 a.m. I was hot. I'm like, God, why is this so hot? Why is it so quiet? And then I turned and looked and I realized, I looked outside, no lights anywhere. We lost power for like 5 hours. And then we had to deal with that. Eventually power came back on, but we were kind of panicking on what do we do? We're on the 8th floor. I told my wife, well, I'm going to go maybe buy some ice at the locals because we didn't know how big the power outage was. We later found out it affected like half the city because when my wife and I went to buy some ice later, the ice and the ice things were like half melted. Because of that storm, we looked and there was a boat that was like capsized out on the beach about 300 yards down. Jeff went down there and investigated, and they said they think it's an insurance job. The guy just pulled his boat out there and let the heavy winds fuck it over and take it up. But people were going on board of this boat. It's a pretty decent-sized boat, I guess. I thought it was like a touring yacht or something. And they were just grabbing alcohol. He comes back with some random bottle of vodka. I'm like, dude, where'd you get that? Oh, I pulled it from the boat. I'm like, what do you mean you pulled it from the boat? Yeah, I went over there and people were just crawling all over the thing and going in the cabin and just taking whatever they wanted. And the guy's like, just go in there and get you something to drink. So he went in there and grabbed a bottle of vodka, some random vodka we never heard of before, like a Mexican vodka or something. But that was pretty wild. And I lost my Olokai flip-flops. They blew off the balcony. I lost my swimming trunks, although I had 2 pair. And I lost my autocannon. I have a white autocannon shirt you see me wear with like the Type S pattern all over it. Gone. I looked from my balcony and I think this is one of my Olokai slippers, my chanclas. So that's why we went into town is we had to go to Walmart and we had to buy, like my daughter lost one of her like half of her swimming trunks and she had more with her. These girls, they have tons of swimming trunks. I think my wife said she has 50 swimsuits, but I brought 2. So fortunately I still had 1. It's funny because I wear like a size 12 and a half shoe typically, like with my Adidas Ultra Boost 12 and a half. So we're going to Walmart and I buy the biggest flip flop they have and my feet are still like, dude, what's up? But fortunately they had something. On our way back, one thing I noticed, and this is what prompted all my research about the streets and the roads and the towns. On our way back, we're driving and we're sticking together. We're obeying the speed limit when we can see a posted speed limit. And I noticed a lot of cars are flying by us, man. They were flying by, and they weren't just like local Sonoran cars. A lot of them were California and like 90% Arizona. Flying by us, and I'm looking at the kilometers per hour thing, and they're going like 75, 80, like you would normally go 85 on a highway. And I'm thinking, God, these people are flying. No wonder there's so many stories of people getting pulled over and getting shook down. But we didn't see a police officer or a federale. I don't think we saw one once we left Puerto Peñasco until we got to the border. Now, we went through a few small towns, and it's possible there was one somewhere, but every time we hit a town, it's like 30 kilometers an hour. We're going 30 kilometers an hour, not 33, not 34, 29, 30. 40 miles an hour or 40 kilometers, same deal. And I decided to look it up. I go, why are there just it just seems like there's no police in certain roads on certain parts of Mexico. Why is that? Because I couldn't say all of Mexico. Hell, we were an hour and a half inside the border. Mexico as a country is huge. Okay. Landmass size. This was just a small bit. But it said because they're understaffed. The police departments usually stick to the cities and city limits. And here in the United States, obviously, we have city police, we have state police, and the federal police you never see. It's rare. I mean, okay, ICE, right? But it's a law enforcement agency, but it's not necessarily the police, a specific thing. Unless you go to Washington, D.C., then you see the federal police everywhere, and you don't see other police. Well, there it's the municipality police, the federale police, which are basically their army that drives around everywhere, the National Guard, and then you have the cartels. And so it said that they're understaffed. A lot of times the police municipalities are corrupted, and they're outgunned and undermanned against the cartel. So they stick to within the cities, which makes sense. So if you're driving through Mexico at any given time, don't be afraid to drive fast. Yeah, don't be afraid to drive fast. But as you get into a city, you better slow your ass down. And so I think the next time, because we were going and I was getting impatient, and I told my wife, I go, text my son, text Marcel, tell him to hurry his ass up. Oh, he said that's as fast as he can go. I said, that's bullshit. He's going 40 miles an hour. We drive this car in Arizona. I guarantee you he drives 75, 80 everywhere else. Pick up the pace. Let's go. Because I don't want to be the front car. And so when somebody in an Arizona thing flies by me, I want to get behind them and ride as close to them as I can until they disappear in front of me, because I'm not going to leave everybody else who was actually behind me, because now we're the lead car, because one of our group stayed back. Two of our groups stayed back. We came in with 4, joined up with one more. So at any given time there was 5, but we came back as 3 because one left later. Well, the other 2 left later. So now I'm the lead car. But, we get back to the border and it's busy as hell. Another reason why these people were flying. Oh, by the way, as you're pulling into Mexico, we were warned about this, but as soon as you clear the border, like right on the other side of the gate that they close at night, there's people in the orange vests and they are trying to walk up and they are spraying your car window. They're trying to clean it. And if you let them clean it, then they want you to pay them. We're like, no, get away. And I get it. They're trying to make money. There's people begging as soon as you cross the border. And it's crazy. Now, the people on the beach are always trying to sell you stuff. That's any tourist destination. It was never as bad as it was in Puerto Vallarta, where they were coming up every 3 seconds. At least here, they're separated by a rope, and I don't think they can actually pass that rope unless you invite them in. Kind of like vampires, I guess, on the beach. If you tell them you want a drink, they'll cross the rope and come up to you. If you want to get your hair braided, we had a few people in our party get their hair braided, so that was cool. But I would say for there, definitely stay on the resort. It's okay to go into town to the market. You can even go to the restaurants during the day. I don't think I'd ever go there and hang out at night, but maybe. But as far as all the places I've gone on vacation, the water, by the way, is beautiful, or pretty. It was warm, shells everywhere. Current was a little crazy. I would go back. I think we were talking about maybe going back again, but that's the only time I think we've gone on a vacation where it's truly, with few exceptions, stay your ass on the resort. Like I said, we went to Walmart, and that seemed like it took forever. It was like a 15-minute drive, and I think it was only like 4 miles away. But just stop sign, stop sign, stop sign. No speed limit, stop sign. Where are the policia? Because that's when you're driving in those areas, that's when you're more likely to get pulled over. But I think even my daughter would take her Durango next time. For sure. It just has so much more room. But yeah, that was the trip. So those of you who are still listening, thank you. I know there's not very many of you, but for those of you who still are, I appreciate it. I know I said a lot because I'm processing as I talk. So that being said, I want to thank Right Honda and Right Toyota, AutoCannon officially licensed Honda and Acura gear, SparkForge Arcus Foundry, my Patreon supporters, Kuya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida, Automotive Specialty Tool out of Owings Mills, Maryland, Big House Small Home Design out of Traverse City, Michigan, and Ashburn, Virginia. Shipment Success Treasure Valley out of Boise, Idaho. God, I feel like I'm forgetting one. Oh, the Lucky Break Sports Breakers out of Caledonia, Michigan. Also want to thank my personal Patreon sponsors. Anybody who ever sponsors this, you can drop in, you can drop out. I appreciate it. You can't rock with me forever, but I love you all the same. Eddie Ramos, Richard Graves, Byron Jones, Drew Bunkley, Andre Mullins, and Nate Robertson. Questions, comments, and concerns, info at Hard Parking. Follow the show at Hard Parking Pod on Instagram. Help me get to 1,000. Follow One Drink Wednesday on Instagram. Help us get to 1,000 with myself and Wes Tankersley. And I will catch you all next week.
Shut up!